And there we are. We can rotate our lockpick like so. Hey there, I'm your host Zoe, and this is part 2 of our lockpicking system. In today's video, we will be creating the lockpicking actor. So with that said, let's begin. So to start things off, let's go to our content drawer and open up our third-person character, blueprints, and third person. Now in here, we want to create a variable for ourselves. Now, of course, you could have this as an inventory item, but since we don't have an inventory, we'll make it here. And this will be our lockpicks, and we'll make this into an integer. And we can give it a default value, and this will happen if we compile. It will allow us to do it. So let's do something like 6. Once you're happy, let's compile and save this. And the next thing we want to do is, if we go to our content drawer, let's create a new folder, and this will have our universal functions. So let's just call it our function library. And let's open this up. Now in here, right click, go to blueprint, and we will create a blueprint function library. And let's call it BP_universal functions. Like so. Okay, well, let's open this up as well. In here, we'll do get hero as the function name. Let's make it pure as well, since we're only reading data, not setting anything. And we'll do get player character. And from here, we want to do cast to whatever your player character is. Now, in my case, this is going to be my third person character. So that's what I'll do over here. And out the end, we want to grab a return node like so. And this blueprint will go in here, and we can rename this. So let's call it player. And just like that, we have created a reference to our third person character. So let's compile and save that, and we can exit. Next, let's go ahead and open up our door blueprint. So we have door, BP_door. And in here, we want to create a new function referencing those lockpicks we just made. So let's do plus in the functions tab, and we'll do any lockpicks. And we want to check, do we have any lockpicks? Because if we don't, well, we don't want to create the lockpick actor if we don't have any lockpicks. So let's grab get hero, which is just the function we made. So BP universal functions, that's where it's at. And we'll do get lockpicks. Beautiful. And then we want to do a equals, not equals, a less than equal. So if we have less than 0 or equal to 0, we'll do a not boolean. So this is not true. If it's not true, we'll then grab a return. And the reason I'm doing a not true is just to come out of the true end if we have nothing in there. So, or rather not. Let's plug this in here. And we can call this, return value. Compile and save that. And with that function made, we can go ahead and let's do custom event and do create lock is what we'll call it. Okay. Now in here, we'll grab this any lockpicks function. Oh yeah, did I not make it pure? We want it pure anyways. Okay, so pure function, we'll grab a branch, plug it into there. And then what we want to do is we want to spawn our lockpicking actor. So in order to spawn it, we first need to create it. Let's go ahead and do spawn actor from class, like so. And let's go ahead and make it. So if we go in here, do we have lockpicking folder? We don't. So let's make one. Let's call it lockpicking, like so. Open it up. Right click, go to blueprint class, and let's create an actor called BP_lockpicking_actor. And let's open this up as well. And in here, what we can do is we can grab a door reference that we're going to open. So in our variables, let's do target door as the name. And for the type, what we'll do is BP_door. And we want to grab the object reference. But if you click here, it should by default grab the object reference. And one more thing, instance editable and expose on spawn. So this will just allow us to edit this in the actor here. So if we were to add this actor now, BP_lockpicking actor, and if you don't see this target door, just simply refresh that, then it should show up, and we can do self. And we're pretty much done. Now at the very end, we want to start this off by creating that lockpick. So this only spawns it, but we don't actually get any widgets or anything. So yeah, this will give you an error. So let's go back into our actor and do event graph. And before we actually do this, in the viewport, we want to add a few things. So let's start by adding a spring arm. So if you type in arm, we should get this, and I'll just call it lockpicking _ arm. Next, let's go ahead and add, while having this selected, let's add a scene capture component to D. And let's also rename it to lockpicking _ capture. Okay, so if you click on the lockpicking arm, we want to do collision test false. So this will make sure if you're against the wall, it doesn't collide with it, right? Then for our lockpicking capture, scroll down until you see the primitive render mode, and we'll set this to use show only list. So that means it's only going to show us the actor that we wanted to show. So with that done, let's also rotate this camera 180 degrees on the, what's this? The Z. So it's facing forward. And by default, I think I had this set to 320 for the distance. So we'll just do that for now. And we also need to render it. So let's compile and save that. Go into our content drawer, and in lockpicking folder, right click, go to texture and do render target. And we'll call this RT _ lockpicking. Let's open it up. And you can set this as high as you want. Now I'll do 1024 because it suits me, works for me. So I'll stick with this. You can also do like 2048 if you want. So let's compile our save and back into our folder, right click again and do create material. And this material will be used in our UI. So let's do RTM _ lockpicking, and RTM stands for render target material. Let's open this up. And in here, we want to drag out from A and do a 1-. So this will invert it for us. And plug this. Oh, before we actually go ahead and plug this, click on this. We want the material domain to be user interface and the blend mode to be translucent. Now you can go ahead, plug this into opacity and RGB into the final color. Okay, so apply, save and exit. Next, you want to select your lockpicking capture. And if you scroll down to scene capture, texture target, we want to set this as our RT _ lockpicking. Perfect. So with that out of the way, let's open up the event graph and let's create a custom event. So custom event, and we'll call it the create lockpicking widget. Okay. Next, we want to grab our lockpicking capture and do show only actor components. And in actor is going to be ourselves. So let's do a self reference. And then the very next thing we want to do is we want to create that widget, but we don't have it. So into the content drawer we go, right click and create a new folder inside the lockpicking folder, calling it UI. Let's open it up, right click once again, go to user interface, widget blueprint, user widget, and we'll call it WB _ lockpicking. And let's open it up. In here then, you want to grab yourselves a canvas panel. And next, it's not necessary, but I think it just makes it look better. We'll grab a border. And the idea is we'll make this into a blur. So click on your border while holding down Ctrl-Shift, click on the anchors, or click on the anchors first, then hold Ctrl-Shift and click on the big square, and it'll size it up for you without any additional work. Then for the brush color, we can make it dark, and let's give it an opacity of 0.5 and do OK. And with that, we want to then grab a blur, background blur, drag it into the border and reset the padding to 0. And for the blur strength, once again, up to you, something like 3, 4, 5 works. So about 5. Yeah, pretty nice. Then we simply grab an image, drag it into our canvas panel, make sure, click on the anchors again, Ctrl-Shift, middle square. And you want this to be a square in general. So I'll do something like 800 by 800. As big as you make it, that's how big the lock will look. So up to you. For the brush, we go in here, and search for our RTM underscore lockpicking. And this is our render target material. Then next, we'll deal with it later, but we can grab a text and drag it into our canvas panel as well. Size to content and anchor it in the bottom left. And we can do something like position X to be 20 and position Y to be -20. And we'll just call it our lockpicks left, or just lockpicks double colon, and we'll give it like a value of, I don't know, 6 to simulate that. You want this to be variable, and we'll call it txt underscore lockpicks. Okay, so with that, we can compile and save it, and we'll come back and deal with the lockpicks text later. So for now, we'll close it. And back in our lockpicking actor, we can now safely do create widget, not the lockpicking widget, the create widget. In here, grab your lockpicking widget there. Okay. And one thing I actually forgot. So if we click on this search icon here, open this up again, we actually want a reference to that target or that lockpicking actor. So in the variables tab, we'll click plus and do lock, or let's do BP underscore lockpicking underscore actor, like so. And then we'll search for it. So BP underscore lockpicking actor object reference. Once again, instance editable and expose on spawn. So compile, save, and now we can exit. So in here, if we refresh that, should give us an option. There we are, lockpicking actor, and this will simply be ourselves again. Okay. With that then, we can do a promote to variable, and we'll call this WB underscore lockpicking. Okay. After this, we'll add this to the viewport, add to viewport, and then we want to disable the controls for our player character and enable it for this actor here. So we'll do get hero, we'll do get player controller, and we'll do disable input, and we'll do enable input. So we're disabling for this player here, enabling it for self, so this actor here, and then the control goes into the player controller, like so. Connect it all up, align it nice and neat, make it look somewhat professional, like so. Okay. And we can actually select all of this, comment it, and we'll call it our creates the lockpicking widget, full stop. And let's bubble it. Okay, so that's the first step. Let's compile and save that. Next, we want to go into the viewport, and in here we'll add the static meshes to create our lockpicking actor. So to begin with, let's add a point light, like so. And let's give it kind of a yellowish theme to simulate like candlesticks and stuff. So we'll go something like that. Mess around with it. Next, we can drag it to our camera, something like this. And I want to move the camera to the left a little bit, like 10 points. So I'm incrementing in 5. So we'll do 2 times like this. And we'll also move the light as well. Okay. Next, let's deselect everything and we'll add our first static mesh. And this will be our lock underscore shape. With that, we can click on this and create another static mesh. And this will be our lock underscore outline. So select the first one and we'll go in here. You can add a square if you don't have this stuff. Like so. And for the second one, you could add a cylinder. So let's add our lockpicking outline. Now, if we click on the top one or the parent, we can rotate this 90 degrees on the Z. And this is what we get. So we're getting there. Next, we'll go ahead and create a scene. If I can spell it correctly, a scene. And this scene, we want to call our lock rotation underscore scene. Awesome. Okay. In here then, while having this selected, we want to click add and we'll add a static mesh. And we want to name it our lock. Then once again, click on the scene, we'll add, or maybe not even on the scene, on the lock, I think we'll add a keyhole. So we'll do static mesh, keyhole. And if you click on the keyhole, then we can add another static mesh, and this will be called the lockpicking guide, or whatever you call that. Okay, so with that done, click on your lock and we'll add our lock part to it. So I believe it's this one there. Yep. We'll have to rotate this scene 90 degrees. So let's do that like so. There we go. Oh, that's 100. 90 is enough. There we are. So that's that. That's our lock. So keyhole, again, go in here and we'll do our keyhole. There we are. And then the lockpicking guide, and we'll do, there we are. Now I'll move this a little bit in, like so maybe. Okay. And we can always come back to here and mess around with it. For example, if the scene rotation is wrong or whatever it may be. So that's looking good so far. Next, we want to go ahead and add another scene. This will be for our lockpick this time. So we'll call it the lockpick rotation underscore scene. And in here, we want to add a static mesh. Now we want in here 3 static meshes. We want 1 static mesh for the lockpick in its full state. And then we want 1 for the broken part, part 1 and part 2. So it comes out to a total of 3. And for the static mesh in here, we'll do, well, first of all, let's name it. So lockpick, and we'll do lockpick there. And we just have to play around and get it into the location we want. So let me rotate this to 90 and we'll move it forward, something like that. Okay, so next would be to rotate this so we like it a little more. So let's rotate it maybe like so, and then try bring it down. See what we get. So something like this, perhaps. Can I move it forward a little bit? I can. Okay. So yeah, just play around with this and see what you get. Since we have the coordinates here, we can actually copy those into our other parts, or somewhat anyways. So click on the rotation scene, add another static mesh, and this will be our lockpick broken 1, let's say. And we need to find it. So I think it's this one. No, that's the back part. So it has to be this one. Yeah. Okay, so we can do a duplicate of that. And yeah, it's already called broken 2. Okay. So broken 2 shall have the end bit. And there we go. We have a lockpick, or a broken lockpick. So if we click on the first one, we rotate it to 90 degrees. And if we were to click on the first one and copy the location, we can then click on that one and do paste. And let's rotate it like this. Okay, so we're almost there. We just need to bring it down a little bit. So this will do perfectly for us. And now the beauty of this is, since we have this in place, we can click on the second one. Or first of all, let's click on the first one, copy up the location, click here, do paste, and click on the first part again, copy up the rotation, click on the broken part, and do paste. And there we are. So now 2 of these you want to be invisible, so you don't want them to be seen at first. So invisible and invisible. Okay, so with that, I believe we're pretty much done for now anyways. So let's compile and save that. And with that out of the way, let's go back into the event graph and let's continue with our blueprints. So the next blueprint we want is a custom event, and we want this to be the lockpicking failed. So this can happen whenever we exit the lock, we don't want to pick anymore, or if we are out of lockpicks. So if we began with 5 and we've ended with 0, all of them have been broken, well then we'll be calling this event. So let's start off by enabling the control for the player again. So we just want to do the opposite of what we did here. So get hero will go into here. So we're disabling the input for ourselves and enabling it for our player character. Next, let's grab the widget we made. So we have promoted it to a variable. We'll do a get, a validated get, and we'll set this to be nothing, right? No, we don't have to. And we'll just do a remove from parent. There we are. And we'll grab it and do a set. Yeah. Okay, and then at the very end, we want to do a destroy actor, like so. Okay, so this is it. So let's comment this code and we'll call it our lockpicking ended / failed, full stop. And we'll do bubble. Okay. Next, we'll do something similar to this, but this will be in a case where we were actually successful in picking the lock. So we'll do custom event and we'll call it lock picking successful, like so. And we'll start off by doing a set timer by event. Now, the reason I'm doing a set timer by event is that whenever we were successful with picking the lock, we don't straight away exit it. We want like a slight delay, or I at least do. So that's what I'll do here. We don't want this to be looping at all. And we'll do a custom event from the event part. And we can do lock picking finished, like so. And then here as well, what we can do is let's create a variable called lock complete. And this will be a Boolean. And we'll just set this to be true. Yes, the lock was complete. Okay. Then here we, again, want to do pretty much similar stuff to here. So let's copy that for the moment. And we'll see what needs to be changed. So I'll bring this down a little bit maybe. Okay. So anyways, we want to disable the input for here, enable it for the player, do this part, remove from parent, and set this to 0. Now, before we destroy it, I want to grab the door. So that's why we needed the reference for the door. We'll do a validated get. And in here, we then want to call a function in this door. So if you remember, we created a useDoor function in the previous episode. So this will open the door for us if it is locked and vice versa, but of course it's going to be locked. And then we'll do another variable. Actually, not in here. We made it in the door, so we'll do set is locked. There we are. And this is going to be false then. And then at the very end, we can finally do destroy actor. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. So we can comment this code and we'll call it our lock picking successful, full stop. Okay, and show bubbled when zoomed. So let's compile and save again. Next, we can actually go and test this out to some extent. So if we go to the door, in here, this will give us an error still. But if we drag out, we have created that event now. So we'll do create. And what was it called? I called it create lockpicking widget. So we can do create lockpicking widget. And it will appear on our screens. Let's compile and save. Yeah, response transform. So split this value and set this Z value to something like 1,000,000. So we'll do 1,000,000,000 and hit enter. That should fix this little issue for us. Okay, amazing. So if we go back in here, just to be able to call this event, lockpicking failed, we can do it here. Let's get rid of these two guys. And we want to do input action underscore, was it interact, I believe? Yeah, interact. Oh, not this one. That's the wrong type of interact. This one here. And if this is pressed, started, we will call the lockpicking failed. And there it is, like so. And we can also comment this input for ending the lockpicking session or whatever you want to call it. And bubble. So now if we were to compile and save everything, and go play with our door, we should get we get nothing. So why would that be? Let me check it out. Okay, so silly little mistake. In here, we're just printing door is locked. We're never actually calling this event. So let's comment it. Creates the lockpicking what's this? Actor, right? Full stop, bubble it, and let's call this event in here instead of just printing door is locked. So events, create lock. Okay, so compile, save, and now this should work. So if we go and play, boom, this is what we get. Now, of course, we can't rotate it or move it around. So let's go back. And yeah, the texture is a little bit stretched, but I'm not really worried about that. So that works, which is great. Now we just want to be able to rotate, for example, the lockpicking part. So if we go back into the actor, we want to create code for it right here. So let's start by searching for something called a mouse X events. And what we'll do is we'll create another Boolean called is lock rotating. And we don't want to be able to move our lockpick if we're rotating the lock, right? Because that's where it gets jammed. So we'll do not Boolean again, just to come out of true. And we'll do a branch, plug it into here like so. And yeah, let's grab our lockpick rotation scene. And we'll do get relative rotation, like so. And we'll do combine rotators. We want to split the B value. And now to mess around with this could be any of them for you. So we'll do multiply, not minus, multiply by -4. And this is just the speed at which it will go. Okay, so I had it, I think, set on the x-axis, but this could be wrong. So we'll see in a moment. And then I want to split this value as well. So we'll clamp it that it only... Actually, let me go check it out before we do anything. So if we click on the lockpick and we were to rotate it, it rotates for us on... Oh, not the lockpick, the scene rather. So click on the scene and we'll rotate it, and it does it on the... Oh, wrong one as well. Rotation, there we go. So this does it on the x-axis, yeah, so that's correct. So we'll clamp it between -90 and 90 here. And then we'll just set this promote to a variable, and we'll call it the lockpick rotation. We just want to keep track of this so we know when we're in the right unlock condition later down the line. Okay. So with that, then we want to grab this lock rotation scene. That's the wrong one. Lockpick rotation scene. Yeah. So be careful. Don't do the same mistake as I did there. Lockpick rotation, and we'll do set relative rotation. Where are you? There you are. Okay. And split this value. So this goes into our X. And then two of these values will come from here. In there and in there. Okay, so if we comment this code, lockpick rotation using x-axis mouse movement, full stop, bubble, compile and save. And let's see what we get. So if we play, should be able to rotate it, and yes, we can. Now, of course, it's not perfect, so we'll be messing with that later. But for the moment, this is pretty much what we want. So this will be it for part 2. In part 3, we'll continue working with the lockpicking actor. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And as always, happy developing.